Welcome Algebra 1 students to the review sheet help video. Let's jump right into this. Let's start off with numbers 4, 5, and 6. The directions say to graph the numbers in a number line, then write two inequalities that compare the numbers. Now students, you do not have to use a number line unless you want to. First of all, I want to remind your students that anytime you're comparing decimals, it's very helpful to make sure both numbers have the same amount of decimal places. For example, this number here has one decimal place, this number here has two. So put a 0 here, and now it's a lot easier to compare. For example, here's 0, here's negative 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.10, 0.15, 0.16, 0.17, 0.18, 0.19, and then negative 0.20. And then a little further out, negative 0.25. Okay? So, you do not have to use a number line if you don't want to, but if it helps you, that's fine. So look, guys, it's 0.20, 0.21, 0.22, 0.23, 0.24, 0.25. So the number further to the right is always bigger. So negative 0.2 is greater than negative 0.25. Or you can say this if you want to. Negative 0.25 is less than negative 0.2. And there's your two answers. Alright? Number 5. Now here, guys, it's obvious. One answer is positive, one answer is negative. So obviously, the positive answer will be greater than the negative number. I said answer. I should have said number. The positive number will be greater than the negative number. And then we could say the negative number will be less than the positive number. And there's your answer. Number 6. Okay, now guys, remember, an absolute value symbol means make the number positive or leave it positive. So the absolute value of negative 4/7 is positive 4/7, okay? Now, the absolute value of positive 5/11 is positive 5/11. But there's a negative sign out front. So now you have a number or a fraction with two signs. A positive negative number means the number is negative. So we have a negative 5/11. So again, a positive number will be greater than a negative number, and a negative number will be less than a positive number. And there we go. There's your two answers. Okay? Now moving on to 7 through 11 odd. Find the sum. So here we go. I have a positive 12. Here's a 7 with two signs. The signs are different. So the 7 is negative. Positive 12. Negative 7. Positive 5. You have $12. You pay off your $7 debt, and you're still left with $5 to the good. Number 9, I have a positive 2.4, okay? Then I have a 3.1 with different signs, a positive and a negative. So that means the 3.1 is negative. Now, I have a positive 2.4. I'm paying off this much of a debt. I have more debt than I do positive, so I know my answer is going to be negative. And now subtract these two numbers to see how much negative I have. And I get 0.7. So positive 2.4, negative 3.1 is negative 0.7. Alright, let's take a look at number 11. have a negative 35, a positive 41, and then I have an 18 with two signs. They're different, so 18 is negative. Okay? Now, add up all my positives. That's 41. Add up all of my negatives. That's negative 53. So, I have 41 to the good. I owe 53. Pay off your debt, and you're still left with a negative. It would be negative 12. Now, I know that we're not dealing with money, but it still helps to understand positive and negative numbers by pretending it's money. Okay? Alright, numbers 13 through 17, evaluate. So here we go. The 2 is negative. The 7 is negative. The 8 has two signs. They're the same. So the 8 is positive. Add up all of your negatives. Add up all of your positives. You have $8 to the good. You have $9 in debt. Pay off your debt, and you're still left with negative 1. Alright, let's take a look at number 14, or number 15. On number 15, the 18 is negative, the 14 is negative. Your 15 has two signs. They're both the same, so we have a positive 15. Add up all of your negatives, negative 32. Add up all of your positives, positive 15. So you owe 32. You have $15 in your wallet. Pay off as much of your debt as you can, and you're still left with a negative 17. Alright? Number 17. Okay. The 7/16 is negative. The 13/4 is negative. The 3/8 has a positive and a negative. Signs are different, so I'm going to put a negative 3/8. Alright. Now, first of all, students, notice they're all negatives. So you have debt, some more debt, and some more debt. So you're going to add all of those up, and your answer will be negative. Now let's add these up. A common denominator for 16, 8, and 4 is 16. So the 7 stays a 7. 8 goes into 16 twice. 2 times 3 is 6. 4 goes into 16 4 times. 4 times 13 is 52. Now, please notice, students, I did not bring down my negative signs because there is no need. I already said I'm adding up all negatives. I'm in debt, and I'm in debt some more. So I know when I add all of these up, my answer will be negative. Now, I'm going to add all of these up. 7 plus 6 is 13. 13 plus 52 is 65 over 16. Okay? Now, if we write that, that's a fine answer. Your fraction cannot be reduced, so that's fine. If you want to write it as a mixed number, it would be, let's see, 16 goes into 65 4 times with the remainder of 1, and that remainder goes over 16. Okay? And that's a fine answer also, okay? Either one of those two answers would be fine. Okay, moving on to 19, or excuse me, number 18. Okay, here we go. Now be careful here. The 23 over 26 is negative. Now students, notice we have the absolute value of 4/9. Now, the absolute value of 4/9 is positive 4/9. But there's a negative sign here we're bringing down, okay? Also, your 7/12 has two signs. The signs are different, so the 7/12 would be negative, okay? Now, students, just to save a step here, notice the 4/9 has two signs, okay? And they're different, which makes the 4/9 negative. Now this is just like the last problem. We have debt, it's negative, more debt, it's negative, more debt, it's negative. So my answer will be negative. A common denominator for 36, 9, and 12 is 36. So here, your 23 would stay the same. Here, 9 goes into 36 4 times. 4 times 4 is 16. Here, your 12 goes into your 36 3 times. 3 times 7 is 21. So 23 plus 16 is 39. And 39 plus 21 is 60. So we have 60 over 36. Now, that is not a good answer because it can be reduced. Okay? 12 goes into both those numbers. 12 goes into 60 5 times, and 12 goes into 36 3 times. So, one answer is negative 5/3. Another answer would be negative 1 2/3. Either one of those two answers are fine. Okay? Alright, number 19, we're going to find the sum and the difference. So let's first of all add these two matrices. Now remember, students, you cannot add or subtract matrices unless they have the exact same dimensions. So this is a 2 by 2, 2 rows, 2 columns. And this is also a 2 by 2. So we can add these and subtract these. Okay, let's add them first. Negative 3 plus a positive 4, positive 1. Negative 2 plus a negative 2, that's negative 4. 8 plus a negative 7 is a positive 1. 4 plus 5 is 9. And there's your answer. Now, if we subtract these two matrices, here's what you would get. First of all, I always suggest to students, instead of subtracting matrices, they need to change the sign here to a positive, and then change all of the signs in the second matrix. So this becomes negative, this becomes positive, this becomes positive, and this becomes negative. And now we simply add. Negative 3 plus negative 4, negative 7, negative 2 plus a positive 2, 0. 8 plus a positive 7, 15. 4 plus a negative 5, negative 1. Okay? Alright, numbers 21 through 31, we're going to find the product. We're going to multiply those. So we have a positive negative times a positive is a negative. 3 times 12 is 36. We have here a negative times a negative, which is a positive, and 40 times 15 would be 600. Number 25, we have a negative times a positive, which is negative. Then we have 17 over 1 times 2 ninths, which would be 17 times 2 is 34. 1 times 9 is 9. Now, that's a fine answer. If you want to change this to a mixed number, it would be 9 goes into 34 3 times with a remainder of 7, which goes over the 9. So negative 3 and 7 ninths. Okay, moving on to number 27. Now be careful here, students. Always work down your absolute value until you have one number on the inside. Okay? And then we'll worry about the absolute values then, okay? So, inside my absolute values, I have a positive times a negative, that's negative, and I have 5.5 times 9. And I get 49.5. Okay? Now, the absolute value of negative 49.5 is positive 49.5. Okay? Because remember, absolute value means make the number positive or leave it positive. Alright? Number 29. A negative times a negative is positive. 7 times 6 is 42. Times a negative 2. A positive times a negative is negative, and 42 times 2 is 84. Okay? So your answer is negative 84. Alright, moving on to number 31. A negative times a negative is positive. And we have 24 over 1 times 7 over 12. Your 12 would cancel, and your 24 2 times. 2 times 7 is 14. 1 times 1 is 1. And 14 over 1 is 14. Alright? Okay, next section. Numbers 33 through 39 odd. We're going to simplify these expressions, okay? So notice we have a 5 outside of the parentheses. Take your 5 and multiply it through. 5 times x is 5x. Positive times a positive is positive. You do not have to put that positive sign if you don't want to. It's up to you. And then a positive times a positive is positive. And 5 times 12 is 60. And there's your answer. Now, take your 5.5 and we're going to multiply it, students, through the parentheses, okay? A positive times a positive is positive. 5.5 times b is 5.5b. A positive times a negative is negative, and 5.5 times 10 is 55. And there's your answer. Okay? Number 37. Now, please understand, students, if the problem looked like this, then you would not be multiplying the negative 3 through the parentheses. But because the negative 3 is in parentheses, then what you have is a number like this, negative 3 in parentheses. So you have two parentheses side by side, which does mean multiply. Now for me, I like to move the number to the left. It's just easier for me, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to. Okay? So here we go. A negative 3 times a positive t is negative. 3 times t is 3t. A negative times a negative is positive. 3 times 11 is 33. And there's your answer. Alright, moving on to number 39. We have a negative 2.5 that we're going to multiply through. A negative times a positive is negative. 2.5 times z is 2.5z. A negative times a negative is positive. And 2.5 times 5 is 12.5. Okay? Alright. Moving on now to numbers 41 through 47 on. We're going to find the quotient. Okay? So here we go. We have a positive divided by a negative. That's negative. And 48 divided by 12 is 4. Number 43. We have a positive divided by a negative. That's a negative. 39 divided by 13 is 3. Number 45, we have a positive divided by a negative. That's negative. And 55 divided by 1.1. Move the decimal one place to here. So it's gone. However, if you move this decimal one place, you must also move this decimal one place. So there we go. 11 goes into 55 5 times. 5 times 11 is 55. Subtract 0. Bring down your 0. 11 goes into 0. 0 times. And so we're finished. The answer is negative 50. Moving on to number 47. We have a positive divided by a negative, which is negative, and then we have 48 divided by 3/4, or in other words, 48 over 1 times 4/3. Okay, so 3 cancels into 48. 16 times 16 times 4 is 64. 1 times 1 is 1. So your answer is negative 64. Okay? Hope that helps. Let's move on to numbers 49 through 52. We're going to find the probability and odds of each one. Okay? So here we go. Okay, students, we have, according to the directions, a bag with red and white marbles. Okay? So for number 49, we have 12 red marbles. We have 48 total. So that means we have 36 white. Okay? We're finding the probability and the odds of choosing a red marble. Okay? So here we go. Probability is favorable odds over or favorable outcome over total outcome. So my favorable outcomes would be 12. My total outcome is 48. And we reduce that to 1/4. So your answer is 1/4 or 0.25. Now odds equals favorable outcomes over unfavorable outcomes. So my favorable outcome is red. That's 12. My unfavorable outcomes would be white. That's 36. Reduce that, you get 1/3, or you can put 0.3. Alright? So no, I'm sorry, that's incorrect. For odds, you have to use the word 2. So we reduce 12 over 36 to 1/3, and the odds are 1 to 3. Okay? 1 to 3. Alright, let's take a look at number 50. We have 9 red, 81 total. So that means we have 72 white. Okay? So let's find the probability of pulling out a red marble. My favorable outcomes would be 9. My total outcome would be 81. Reduce that and you get 1/9. Okay? If you want to write your answer in decimal form, 1 divided by 9 is 0.1 with a bar over it. Okay? Now, odds, of course, would be favorable outcomes, which is 9, over unfavorable outcomes, which would be 72. If you reduce that, you get 1/8, and so your answer would be 1 to 8. 1 to 8. Alright? Okay, let's try number 51. We have 36 white marbles. We have 40 total marbles. So that means we have 4 red marbles. So the probability of pulling out a red marble would be favorable outcome is 4 over total outcome is 40, which reduces to 1/10. And that's a fine answer. Or you can also put 0.1. Okay? Alright, now let's figure the odds. Odds would be favorable outcomes, which is 4, over unfavorable outcomes, which is white, 36. When you reduce that, you get 1/9. So the odds would be 1 to 9. Okay? 1 to 9. Alright, let's try number 52. Okay, students, here we go. For number 52, we have 17 white marbles. We have 68 total marbles. So the red marbles would be 51. Okay? So here we go. Probability is favorable outcomes, which is 51, over total outcomes, which is 68. Alright? Now, anytime you can reduce fractions, you need to do so. And let's see. 17 goes into both of these numbers. 17 goes into 51 4 times, or 3 times, sorry. And 17 goes into 68 4 times. So your answer is 3/4 or 0.75. Now for the odds, favorable outcomes 51 over unfavorable outcomes 17. 17 goes into both of these numbers. So 51 over 17 reduces to 3/1. So the odds would be 3-1. Okay? Alright. Moving on now to page number 67. And the directions say for number 28 to write the numbers in increasing order. So we're going to start with the lowest and work our way to the highest. Now, probably the best way to do this is to use a number line, but look at all these number students. We are dealing with decimals, and that's really hard to do unless they all have the same amount of decimal places. So 2 decimal places, 1 decimal places. I really don't care about 0. Everyone knows where 0 goes on the number line. 1 decimal place. Sorry for yawning. 1 decimal place and 2. So the best way to do this is to make all of these numbers have 2 decimal places. So negative 0.03 comma 0.20 comma 0 2.00 negative 0.20 negative 0.02. Okay? Now, for my negative numbers, I have C. I have 0.02, 0.20, 0.03. Now guys, think about it. If I start off with 0.02 and 0.03, right? And then .what? 04, 05, 06, 07, 08, 09, and then 10. And then 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay? So there we go. Now, 0's next. Then I'm dealing with 0.2 and 2. Well, obviously, guys, 2 is a whole number. 0.2 is a fraction. It's less than 1. So I would have 0.2 here, and then 2 over here. Okay? So we're gonna list these from lowest to highest. So here we go. This number comes first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. And there are the numbers, students, written in increasing order. Okay? Alright, number 30. Here we go. We've got a mixture here, students, of decimals and fractions. So I'm going to make 3.5, 3.5. I'm going to make negative 4.5, negative 4.5. Notice all of your decimals have 1 decimal place. That's good. So here we go. Let's start with the negative numbers first, students. I see 1, 2, 3. Well, guys, think about it. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6. Well, negative 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half. We go right here. Negative 5, we go here. And then negative 5.1 would go right here. Okay? Now, your positive numbers, we have 3.5, 1, 2, 3, 3.5. We have 3.4 right before that. And then we have 4.1, here's 4. So 4.1 is about right there. So here we go. My number furthest to the left is negative 5. My next number is, oh, I'm sorry. This number here is 5.1. So negative 5.1 is furthest to the left. Next is negative 5. Next is negative 4.5. Next is 3.4. Next is 3.5. And next is 4.1. So students, once you get the numbers on the number line, it's really pretty simple, okay? Alright, number 34. Find the opposite of this number. Well, the opposite of negative 3 is positive 3. Okay? Number 38. Find the opposite of 3 and 4/5. Well, it's positive. So the opposite is negative 3 and 4/5. It's that simple, students. Opposite just means to change the sign. Okay? Moving on to number 51. The directions say to solve. Okay? So, well, think about it, guys. There's really no such thing as a positive 0 or a negative 0. For example, if this was the equation right here, then my answer would be 5 and negative 5. There would be 2 answers, okay? Because if I put a positive 5 in here, I get out a positive 5, which equals 5, okay? If I put in a negative 5, I will get out a positive 5, because the absolute value of a negative 5 is positive 5, okay? But this problem here, I have zeros, okay? So there is no such thing as a positive 0 and a negative 0. So you just have one answer, and your answer is 0. The absolute value of 0 equals 0. Alright? Moving on to page 76, we're going to substitute 12 in, and then evaluate. So, bring down your positive 9, bring down your positive sign. Where the x is, put in parentheses, bring down your negative 12. Bring down your positive negative 8, and bring down your positive negative 3, okay? So, your 9 is positive. Here your 12 has 2 signs that are different, so 12 is negative. Here you have an 8 with 2 different signs, so your 8 is negative. Here you have a 3 with 2 different signs, so your 3 is negative. Add up all of your positives, add up all of your negatives, and now finish. You have $9, you owe 23, pay off your debt, as much debt as you can, and you still owe 14, negative 14. Alright, moving on to page number 90. Page 90, we're going solve for A, B, C, and D. Now remember, students, when matrices are equal, that means this entry equals this entry. This element or entry matches this entry or element. This entry matches this entry. And this entry here matches this entry here. They're equal. Okay? So, think about that for a second. That means that 3a equals negative 12. So what would a have to be? Negative 4, because 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. Okay, 5b equals negative 5, so 5b equals negative 5. What would b have to be? Well, negative 1. 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. So b equals negative 1. Let's take a look at c. This has to equal this, so c minus x equals 1. So what number would I put in for c to get out a true statement? 7. 7 minus 6 is 1. So c equals 7. And lastly, d. These two should be equal. So d equals negative 3. And there's no work to show. That's it. So here we go. There's your 4 answers for A, B, C, and D. Okay? Alright, page 96, numbers 42, 44, and 48. Here we go, 42, negative 8. And then remember, students, when you substitute a number in, always put parentheses. So here's the x, put in parentheses, and then put 6. So we have a negative times a positive is negative. 8 times 6 is 48. Alright? Okay. Number 44, we have 3, then parentheses for x. X equals negative 2. Then negative 5, and then x, negative 2. Alright? Now, you do not multiply the 3 times the negative 2 first. And then square it. You do not do that. You first do your power. So I now have 3 times 4, because a negative 2 squared means negative 2 times negative 2. Okay? Now a lot of students they bring down their 3 and they put in positive 4, because negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. But then, because they don't go like this, or because they don't go like this, they forget that they're multiplying. We know they're multiplying, students, because this 3 is right next to the parentheses. Okay? Okay, students, let's now do our multiplication. Positive times the positive is positive. 3 times 4 is 12. Negative times the negative is positive. 5 times 2 is 10. Positive 12. Positive 10. Positive 22. Okay, moving on to number 48. I have a negative 2. Then parentheses. For the x, I'm going to substitute 4. Then I have a positive 3. Then x, I'm going to substitute 4 for x. Now here we go. The negative 2 is right next to the 4, so we know they're multiplying, so negative 2 dot 4 squared is 16. 3 times 4 is positive 12. Bring down your negative 7. Now, negative 2 times 16 is negative 32. And then positive 12. And then negative 7. Add up your negatives and you'll get negative 39. Add up your positives and you'll get positive 12. So, you owe 39. You have 12. Pay off as much as you can and you still owe negative 27. Alright. Okay, moving on to our last page. Page 104, number 62. Alright, now we're going to simplify. First, take your 4 and multiply it through. Okay? 4 times 2 is 8. A positive times a negative is negative. And 4 times a is 4a. Now, if there would have been parentheses around the negative a, then you would multiply it through the parentheses also. Okay, but there's not. So we simply bring down our negative a. Now, we are not finished because I see two like terms. I see an a term and an a term. So, bring down your 8, negative, then here's your a terms. So go ahead and put a, negative 4, negative 1, you owe 4, you owe 1 more, so negative 5. And there's your answer. You can also put, if you wanted to, negative 5a, positive 8. Alright? Okay, next, number 66. Alright, let's take our negative 4 and let's multiply it through. A negative times a positive is negative. 4 times y is 4y. A negative times a positive is negative. 4 times 2 is 8. And then bring down your negative 6y. Now, add up. Let's say I have a y term and a y term. So bring down your y. Negative 4, negative 6, you owe 4. You owe 6 more, that's negative 10y. And then bring down your unlike term. Negative 8. And that's your answer. Okay? One more problem. Number 68. Okay, students, now first of all, bring down your negative x cubed. Take your 2x and multiply it through, okay? Positive times a positive is positive. 2x times x is 2xx, which is 2x squared. Then a positive times a negative is negative, and 2x times x squared would be 2x x, which is 2x cubed. Okay? Now, I see like terms here and here. So bring down your x cubed, and you have a negative 1 and a negative 2. So you owe 1, you owe 2 more, now you owe 3. And then bring down your other term, your x squared term. And that's it. Okay? So, guys, students, I hope this review sheet has been a help to you guys. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to contact me.